Glad to have you here today. On your session it says Danielle Crafton. Danielle is the Public Information Officer for Henderson County Schools. And I'm Sabrina Jewell, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Director of Child Nutrition for Henderson County Schools. And over here to the other side we have Cindy Williams, who's our community outreach person and guru of all things dealing with Henderson County Schools. So, Danielle is presenting, I'm going to be her Vanna or just her sidekick, peanut gallery.
There you go.
I'm dealing with media relations and how things, what we can do to improve those and how things work out. So you're going to see real life examples from Henderson County. So,
All right.
Danielle?
Thank you, Sabrina.
You.
Okay, so this is going to be really interactive, okay, since it's a smaller group. So I didn't know what to expect, but to me, I think it's one of the most important things on the agenda, but I'm just biased because it's my job, so. But anyway, and I want to start off by saying, first of all, what schools are represented here today?
Elizabeth Independent.
Okay.
Davis County.
Davis?
Henderson.
Yeah, I knew you looked familiar. Okay.
Shelby County.
Shelby County, okay. And so, as Sabrina said, I'm a public information officer. So when they gave me that title, I thought, wow, I'm an officer. Like, do I get like a badge and a parking spot? Like, it sounds a lot more important than who I really am. But really, it's just, I guess, a title for PR and marketing coordinator for the school district. And also, I'm the spokesperson for our school district. So just a little about Henderson County, and I can only speak for Henderson County because it's my first place of employment with the school system. I think it's fairly large. We have nearly 7,000 students, and hello. It says small, so I'm going to be interacting. Who do you all represent? What school district?
Council Independent.
Okay, all right, sounds good. I'm with Henderson County Schools, and so it's about 7,000 students in our school district. We have 8 elementary, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. And so when I stepped, and 1 preschool, yes, very nice preschool. And so when I stepped into this position, during the interview process and all, they said your role will be to be the overall coordinator as far as communication. So everything that comes through as far as media or even the public is going to filter through you. So we have one message. And so that's what I'm here today saying. I know that your job isn't necessarily a public information officer or PR marketing. Maybe you don't know anything about it, and that's okay because I don't know anything about your jobs. I think it's very important, but I can barely flip a pancake. So I don't know much about the food services, but at the same time, I know enough to work with Sabrina to understand it is very important. And as I was talking to Cindy when I was preparing this, the 2 things that parents care most about in the school district is the safety of their kids first and what their kids are eating. You know, to be honest, those are like the 2 most important things, and then comes academics. Well, for some people, sports before academics, but anyway, that's a different subject. So, but I say this to start off by saying, you know, you're not necessarily somebody that's going to be the spokesperson for the school district. However, I'm hoping that what you take away within this time frame, and I believe it'll be less than an hour, so you guys will be able to beat the lunch crowd, is that you can go back to your district and communicate and just show key points of what you've learned today. And even if it's just one thing that you can go back and, but also that you are the voice for your department. You're the voice for your community and your kids and what you do. So really, even though you're not necessarily a spokesperson, everything that you say and do is reflected upon you and your school and your community. So with that being said, let's start here. So what's the big idea? Can you guys hear me okay back there? I can project pretty loud, so okay. As Sabrina said, today is building positive relationships with the local media, okay? So at each school district, I'm sure that you have some sort of news station, newspaper. I know Davis County does Pikeville, right?
Paintsville.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Paintsville.
Paintsville?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So who's your local, who's the nearest media to you all? Who do you feed off of?
So local media or to television? or-
Yeah, local, do you have a local, like, radio station, newspaper?
Local residents, would be like SIP.
Okay, okay,
95 Peterborough, and local, close to TV, we has.
okay, it's Hazard, okay. What about Elizabethtown? Or, I'm sorry, did you?
We're
say-
Shelby County.
Shelby County, I'm sorry, you're Elizabeth, okay.
We have a local newspaper, local radio station, and then we're close to Louisville for.
Right, so you're pretty big, you're a big school, okay. And then, as far as you
You're a
all,
local radio station, you can get in there and on the radio.
Okay.
In the morning, when we play agents on radio live.
great.
We go to school and we have a look at.
So there's a lot of involvement, okay, and Davis, Evansville, and, okay. All right, so, we actually feed off of Evansville, and that media, and then we have our local paper and radio station. So, does your school system have a relationship with the media, and if so, why is that important? Okay, keep that question in your mind. Why is it important to have a positive relationship? And anything that we do with our coworkers, it's always good to have anything positive, so it's kind of an obvious question. But we're going to hit on 4 key points today, okay? So sometimes the media, when you think of the media, they sound like the bad guys, you know. I'll just use ours for example, and I'll refer back to us because that's all I know. Eyewitness News is calling. They like to talk to you about something, and people cringe. Oh no, what happened this time, you know? Where's the superintendent when you need him or her? So, but at the same time, I would like to change your perspective on the media and think, okay, if the media is calling, let's take advantage of this and let's use this as an opportunity to really spread the word of what's going on in our district. And for you all, it would be the food services that are offered. Okay, some of this is kind of hard to see, so I'll say it to you. So the thing if you talk to the media, who do you all have, you can speak up, who do you have in place? Do you have a spokesperson in your school district? Or do you have a cafeteria manager? Or who are some people that you have in place that if the media were to call, who would be the point person? Cafeteria manager? The food director? Okay.
We have a public relations coordinator.
Oh, okay, that's nice, okay. And then the same with you all? Do you have a?
With the director or
Okay,
chef
okay, okay. So but say for some reason that they weren't available and you were the person that they would like to talk to. The things that you gotta keep in mind is, first of all, stay calm and tell us your message to fit your audience, okay? Our audience here is not only just the public, but maybe your audience is specifically parents or new people coming into the district, or people that are just really interested in what's going on. You know, I know that sometimes it may feel like, oh, food's in place, there's nothing that can be done, or the new regulations, or the pricing, you know, what's going to change. But yet at the same time, when people are more educated, I think that they appreciate what goes on in the school district more. And also, we're going to frame it in a positive way.
Danielle,
Yes.
like if they call our office
Mhm.
and Sabrina's not there, do I contact you?
Right, so you would contact me, but I wouldn't know I don't know everything that goes on in our district. So if Sabrina's not there, I may come to you, or I may
I'll
go
give
to
you the
Brandy.
information, but
Right.
you would be the person that would
Right,
talk to me.
but I could be the person that talks unless if Sabrina or the food service director, somebody else would like to speak. And that's the thing, is I don't always have to be in front of the camera. Say I worked for your district and you know more about more of the regulations, and I said, if you feel comfortable, would you be willing to get on camera or on the radio and speak about what's going on here? You know, and so it doesn't mean I always have to be up front, but I want to make sure that one message is filtered through the district so we have one message and not 8 or 10 different messages. A lot of people don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, and I totally get that. But at the same time, I would want to have the correct information that you all provide me so that I can make sure that I get the correct information out to the public.
So just like if they call the high school, they should call our office and then say if Sabrina was not there, then I would direct the information to you first.
Right.
And then if you said, Becky, would you be comfortable? I'd say, no, you do it.
Right, exactly. So it's good to have a point person and that you all understand who that point person is. So if you don't already have that in your district, or even in your department, I would recommend that you you at least start a conversation of setting something up to where there is one message. Because we all know that when there's multiple messages, that's when it actually turns sour. The negativity gets out.
And the advantage to having one person coordinating all of that is that when something odd happens, they'll contact Danielle and say, hey, we've heard this, we want to talk to Sabrina. So, you know, and they know that if they call me, I'm going to clear it through Danielle first, because I'm not going to talk to them unless I know that the district knows what's going on. And it has helped us, and I know she's leading into this, I see the peanut butter. It has really helped us be able to control how they've presented us in the media, because we're working together. When they catch you off guard, if you have a controversial board meeting and media's there and you don't have a spokesperson, you're probably going to have to talk to them. But it's so much better if you've got someone who's standing there, because they're listening and they're seeing where they're going with it, and they'll be sitting there behind you going, you know, and it helps. And you say, you know, let's redirect this and let's talk about this instead, because the reporters, they make their money off of ratings. So if they can get you to say something silly, that's the only thing they're going to show on that 6 o'clock news clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna bite.
Yeah.
So before I go into an example in a story, I'm going to say, at first I thought they were the bad guys, you know, and I'm working with them on a daily, or a weekly basis, not daily, but a weekly basis. But I realized that when I send press releases, they need me just as much as I need them to get positive stories out. So the idea that if you build a relationship with them, they need stories. You know, whether, even though they may hear some negative, they're gonna, not all media is like this, and I apologize on their behalf, but unless if it's a reliable source, they're gonna know the school system is a reliable source versus something they heard off the street. Unfortunately, anymore, media is by feeling and what you've heard and what you've seen on social media. We know that it's not necessarily all facts, but at the same time, they know that if they reference Henderson County Schools or Danielle Crafton or Sabrina Jewell, it's a reliable source. So they need me just as much as I need them to get good stories out. Well, the story I'm about to tell you, and Sabrina can tell more about it as well, but I think that, I'm sure that they all have heard about it at least, but about, I guess it was around Christmas time, the media called and said, I heard you guys aren't serving peanut butter anymore, no peanut butter and jelly time. And I said, excuse me? And I thought, this is a slow news day. Like, to be honest with you, I thought, this is crazy. And they said, yeah, we heard on the street, we saw on social media, that their peanut butter is pretty much gone or banned. And I said, well, I haven't heard about that yet. And so I said, well, let me call you back in a few minutes. So I gave them a time frame. I let them know that I'm going to look into it versus hanging up on them. And by the way, picture yourself in my role, what they call the cafeteria, or, you know, so it doesn't have to be me. And then, but I will get back with you after I find out really the correct information. So immediately I had Sabrina's cell phone number actually like on speed dial, and I called Sabrina, and she said, well, I'll be back in the office, let me come in and explain things. So she came back into the office and she explained that at that time,
Based on the new regulations and trying to balance for certification, we were over on proteins and breads at the elementary school. And to balance that, we stopped serving peanut butter on Friday only, 1 day a week. We didn't serve a peanut butter sandwich. We did the deli sandwich because we could adjust that. We got the smokers, you know, it's kind of hard to cut those in half. We could adjust our deli sandwich and change the bread, make it like a club or whatever. Couldn't do anything with the peanut butter. So we stopped it on a Friday. And the only thing that the parents heard was no more peanut butter. That's the only message they heard. We're like, no. It's 1 day a week. It's just to meet the regulations. Of course, the very next week, guess what? They gave us leniency. So peanut butter came back, which we made sure to call the media and say, hey, by the way, they changed the regs. We told you this might happen. So peanut butter's back. It's been reinstated.
right? So we actually, so they probably felt like they're the ones that brought it back. You know, the media's like, oh, we did it. You know, they probably thought that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have a positive relationship with them. So this is the steps that we took. So if something like this were to happen. So when they called, Sabrina and I created an outline, a statement, so that we had one message. So that when we called them back, we both were on the same page, and we let them know, if you would like to come in to speak with us or ask questions, you're more than welcome to. And so we invited them to our office. I think sometimes when you shut it off and you say, no, you can't come near the school, you can't interview us, sometimes it sounds like you're hiding something, doesn't it? So we had the idea and the statement ready for them to come into our office, but we weren't going to allow them in until we actually created something together and that we knew that it met the regulations and that it was the truth. Did you have if you have a question, just go and raise your hand in the middle of it. Did you have a question? No? Okay. So at that point, they came into the office, they sat down, and I asked Sabrina if she would like to speak, and well, Sabrina's kind of shy, but she,
Oh, yeah.
so she was fine with speaking. And so, but I was there with her to kind of monitor, as Sabrina said, the conversation and when was enough, and to move on, because sometimes we move on to the silliest things, and I don't understand why. So I'm actually going to show you a clip, a video clip of what took place and what they showed on the news, and how Sabrina reacted to what seemed to be a negative situation, to the point where it's almost like they were trying to find something on us or to make it look as if we don't care about giving our kids things that they actually would like to eat. So I'll show you that real quick.
Well, it seems it is not peanut butter jelly time at Henderson Elementary Schools, at least on Fridays. The lunchtime favorite has been taken off the menu, and that is not welcome news. Nick LaGrange back from Henderson with that story.
Well, the Henderson School Board says they are taking PB&J off the Friday lunch menu at elementary schools in order to meet the requirements passed down by the USDA. Today, we spoke to a few local students to get their take on the situation, and we received mixed reviews. They're going to stop serving peanut butter and jelly on Fridays. Does that bother you at all?
Yes, because I really love peanut butter sandwiches.
Adrian Posey is a fourth grader at East Heights Elementary School in Henderson, and he's one of many students who will no longer have the option of PB&J on Fridays.
That is due to our new regulations based upon the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act.
Signed into law by President Obama in 2010 and amended in 2012, the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act calls for regulations on students' caloric intake during school lunches.
For the elementary schools, we were over on our breads and our calories. To bring that into compliance, we have opted to not offer the peanut butter and jelly on Fridays.
In addition to the removal of PB&J on Fridays, the school corporation has handed out lunch guides to cafeteria staffers in order to make sure students are eating what the government mandates.
Every meal that we serve, we get money back from the government. So if we don't meet their guidelines, they don't pay us the money.
How often do you think lunches are made?
They're pretty on a scale of 1 to 10. They're probably an 8.
Students now know that eating healthy sometimes means making changes, and that's something they're okay with. Why is it important to be healthy?
So you can be strong and stay healthy and not be sick.
Sabrina Jewell says reconstructing the elementary school's lunch menu was difficult, and she says if you would like to suggest alternative changes, you are encouraged to contact the Henderson County School Board. Nick LaGrange, 14 News.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Okay.
I got no phone calls, so thank you.
Exactly. So, as you're watching that clip, what are some things that stuck out to you? Did it come across as negative, or did it come across as something that is fairly positive? What stuck out to you?
Well, as I watched it that night, I thought that it came across really positive, and I thought that the children sounded positive also. And the questions he asked, I thought that the questions he asked, he didn't ask them in a negative way. And I thought that the children really responded positively.
That's right, yeah. Did you notice the food and a lot of people see visual. Did the food look good?
Yes.
Do you think that looked okay? What about the way that Sabrina at the end, do you think it was bold how she said that if somebody would, or how we spoke for Sabrina, somebody would like to contact us? Do you think that was a good thing, or do you think that was something that's, oh man. It was a good thing. Yeah. Well, like Sabrina said, after we found out that those regulations were changed once again, that we did contact them and made it a point to say things have changed once again. So if you hear another story on the street, the information we didn't give you was false. Things have changed, and they really appreciate when you reach out to them, and they truly do. So we've built a relationship with them, and we're still continuing to, but it has been something that you can see that was negative, because you could see how people can really turn that and make us feel as if we're under the rock. We turn it into something that's positive, because when you speak about truth, when you say something about the president, you're not going to go up against whatever President Obama's regulations are. So when you refer to at the federal level as well, people realize there's some things that are just out of your control, you know, and so make sure that you give straight facts. Okay, so, and also here, you can't read this, but this is something too that is very important, and you all, each one of you can do this. Even you can do this after this conference. You can go back to your district and you can report on things that you've learned at the conference and ways that and that makes not only you look good and to help with your credibility, but it also makes your school district look good. Go back and ask your PR person or ask your superintendent or somebody, the principal, to respond to some of the things that you're learning and ways that you're helping your district coming statewide and working with other people. It's okay to tell your story, you know. Sabrina went to DC and she presented at our next board meeting. And she presented to the board members what she learned while she was in DC at a conference and why it was important not only for her to go, what she learned and how she is reacting to some of the regulations and some of the things that she'd like to see changed or some of the things that are going well. And so it's really good that not only for your job security, but it's also good for your school district to be represented at things such as this. So tell your story. You know, I would love for you to, at the end, to give me your reaction to this conference, to where we can even send out a press release, or even just something that you tell the local newspaper. Funny enough, when I was showing you that video, before I came in here, I was eating, and I tweeted, I'm at the food service conference at the state. I let them know that I was about to speak at this event. Well, I just got a text message from a girl named Laura McNutt at 14 News, and she said, hey, I hear that you're at a conference, and she thinks it's like, she wants to know more about it, to when I return back to Henderson, she would like to interview me about it. So sometimes they pick up on stories, and sometimes they hear about them, so it doesn't hurt to give them all the information, and they can decide what they choose and what would be good. So we have two news stations, Eyewitness 14, The Gleaner as a newspaper, and then WSON. So I'll refer to those four often. So anyway, The Gleaner was at the board meeting. I'm sure that you had your newspaper at the board meetings. And they actually picked up on what Sabrina was saying, and they did an actual article on it. So it's showing that we're going nationwide. Even though Little Henderson, we're represented nationwide, making sure that we're going to those conferences. Do we have any questions so far or comments?
We put in last year after our conference, we wrote a little thing and it was put in about us coming, because our theme for our chapter is lunch ladies and so much more. We're not just lunch ladies.
That's right.
We're actually learning how to, you know, the nutrition values and stuff. And we want the parents to know that we're not just putting
That's
food
right.
on their plates, and we actually know what we're doing.
That's
you know.
awesome. Yeah.
So that we're training. Yeah.
So that we're expanding our knowledge
Yeah.
beyond just the lunchroom.
That's right. And also, you're expanding your knowledge with the media right now, you know, and so.
And after we did that, we thought, oh wait, you know, we should filter everything through you, you know, before we go and just take it to the Gleaner. We'll write it up and then we'll send it to you.
That's a good leadway, though. This is what I'm going to be showing you here. That's a great leadway. This actually is, the way I look at it, I'm not if you don't tell me that it went through me, you're in trouble. Like, no. I'm not that way at all.
No.
But I am saying that usually I like to kind of know what's going on so that I'm not caught off guard. However, if it's a positive story and you would like to tell the media about it, by all means, I'm sure anyone in your district, like, go ahead and brag about yourself. Send it out there. You don't necessarily have to go through me in that case. But maybe you should tell somebody, hey, I went ahead and did this, just so you know if they contact, you know, this is something that we're proud of.
Well,
so,
like this
yeah.
year, you know, with Sabrina being sworn in as the president, we like, you know, like 29 of us came, you know, And so if we write up something like that, we'll give it to you, you can tweak it,
Right,
spin it, and you can send it out to all the media.
right,
You know, you can send it out to TV stations, you know, the newspaper, the
right.
radio, and you have all your contacts.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And that would be,
that.
yeah, and I'm gonna encourage, I know you don't have a lot of time, but even if it's just a little snippet, send it to somebody, send on, or if you already have a relationship with the radio station, go on there and say, I'd like to talk about what I learned. I had a chart up there, and it's good, I brought that up just to show you, it's good to know who you filter through. So when you get back, most of you already know, it's good to know, or talk to the food service director or cafeteria manager, how do we go about? You all have a story to tell. You know, you're not just flipping green beans on a shred. You have an idea that you want the story to come across. Who would you go to? You know, have something in mind or ask, you know, do we have something in place to where I know who to contact so-and-so can get our story out? And I don't know about you, but you know, our name doesn't always have to be on it, but as long as the story's being told, that's what matters. So, so I really do have an old computer for being in marketing and technology. I think I have a nice one. So if you can go back and tell Chad, our technology guy, about this. Okay, so the second point that I want to make is tell your story, because they're not going to necessarily come knocking on your door. Unless if you really, it's because it's about the kids, let's be honest, you know. So many times I get caught up in my work day and I'm like, oh, I have this, I have that, I feel woe is me, you know. And everybody's like that. But then when I remember that it's about our kids, and I like those little kids on the video, knowing that they're in the cafeteria, and they're enjoying their lunch, and they're interacting and building their character. And I'm back at central office, I consider myself your grandparent, because I can leave when I want to from school, and then I can go back to the central office. But I'm not there in the midst of every day with the kids like you all are, you know. And so I get caught up in some of the political things and this and that. So it's really good to remember why I do what I do and that I'm with the kids every day.
Can I interject, Danielle, too? And you as cafeteria and child nutrition staff, what you have to realize, too, is that you are PR advocates for your school just as much as your public information officer, your communications person, because you guys are sometimes the first faces that those children see when they come into your cafeteria. So when she says, get your message out there, make it a positive message, you know, because how you react to the students coming into the cafeteria sometimes goes back to, you know, goes back to the home when a student comes in. If you're having a bad day, then that student may say, oh man, that cafeteria worker, something was wrong with her this morning. But, you know, you are a PR advocate for your school system as well.
Right, and I'm looking around here making sure none of you were the person. But when I was getting Arby's, before I came in here, I know, very healthy, I get it. I told Sabrina I could never ever. I told her I was going to give out Oreos later, but no. But I overheard her telling the worker at Arby's, they said, what do you do? And she said, oh, I serve cardboard to kids. Cardboard to eat to kids. And I thought, you know, I thought, you don't know if I'm a parent, you don't know if I'm working for another school. I thought, I would be mortified if you worked for Henderson County Schools right now, because here I am trying to get out the message that there are great things going on in our cafeterias, you know. And she says she serves cardboard to kids and she'd rather eat cardboard sometimes. And the lady behind the Arby's desk just laughed. But what else are you going to do? You know, she kind of looked at me and I looked down and I really should have said, and I kind of kicked myself in the butt, you know, this is what you should have, you know, you don't need to be saying this about what school district do you work for? You know, and I wonder if she was going to cover her badge at that time. And so already, that's where the negativity comes, and that's why the media calls. And already, she's already spreading that. And if I wish I would have looked at her name and what school district she was from. I wish she was in here right now. And I'd point her out. No, I'm teasing. I say, you want this cardboard or an Oreo? but so that's just it. I mean, that's just a prime example. And the lady at Arby's knows why she's here, you know? And so it's like a ripple effect. So, anyway, let me sign back on, and then I want to show you a few more visuals, and I'll make sure that you all leave on time, maybe a little early. I think it's really good that, you know, you do have representation if they're going to talk about food services, or somebody's there. Maybe even have kids and their parents go and talk about, these are things that we would like, or these are things that we really enjoy, please continue this. Because board members really do, or they should really care about what's going on And it all goes back to the kids. You know, when the kids tell the story, that's really what's powerful, and that's what impacts. So if you know people that can go on the radio station or talk to the newspaper, you help them, help generate that, and help generate that news. So this is one of our board members, and all the board members are wonderful. I like them. But this is Jeremy Johnston, and this is during, as we all have, National Breakfast Week. And so he's serving food, and the kids enjoy, you know, seeing somebody else outside sometimes coming in and serving. So it's all about the kids. So make sure that you tell your story as we talked about. And point 3, I want to let you know that I want you to reach out to them and plan a statement. You are the voice in the community for your school and your kids, okay? So this could be a challenge, this could be out of your comfort zone, but think of something next year that you can reach out to them, or even get a phone call out, or a letter to the editor, or something where you can say, hey, you need to come in and see what's going on here. And this is an example. You all are familiar with Food Play? Who's familiar with Food Play? Yeah. Okay, if you're not, you should go online and look at Food Play. They actually are nationwide.
Yes.
And,
There's probably some information on it in
There
your bag. There's a little flyer clip. It is an allowable cost if you use food service funds to bring them into your district. Yay.
yeah.
And you'll make great points with your accreditation people. Your instructional side's real happy when this group comes in too. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's great. So this is actually something that I'm saying, the news isn't going to know about this until you actually tell them. So this is a great production. I'll stand back here. We created this poster, but Food Play, if you go online, they already have a lot of the promotional items prepared and press release and all. So when we created this and sent it around town, and we sent out a press release, and really it's for our elementary students, and we let them know the dates that they were coming. Well, this became a big deal in our community, and people were really interested in learning more about this. Well, so we sent our message out, and then they contacted us and they said, when can we come in to get the videography and the photography and the stories about your production? So we were more than welcome to have them come in. That's what we wanted. So we sent this out. We did a press release. And like I said, they already have a press release on there. So really, you can submit this to whomever in your district to send out, and you can send it to your local paper. And I want to show you one more video of how the news reacted to this positive event in our district. And they actually look forward to it every year, so 1980.
Starting today, Henderson County students are learning what to eat and what not to eat through theater. This is the second year the county has teamed up with the traveling show called Food Play. Emily Muir is live at Sunrise with the details. Good morning, Emily.
Dan, good morning. I'm at Jefferson Elementary this morning in Henderson. This is just the first stop for the Food Play tour. They actually plan to visit 8 schools total in Henderson County this week and next. Food Play is a national award-winning theater show promoting healthy eating and exercise habits. It brings awareness to those topics by entertaining the students with colorful characters, juggling acts, motivating messages, music, and magic acts. The video you're seeing is from their visit last year. Food Play aims to show the students that clean eating can be fun, but they want to make sure the students know how serious the topic is. They say 1 in 3 children is overweight, and less than 2% of the nation's youth are meeting their daily nutritional requirements. They'll start their show this morning at 8:30, and then they'll move on to East Heights later today. Dan?
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Emily. For more news, we're going to let
Okay. So I hope that gives you an idea of how that was very positive. You know, she was out there before the kids got to school, and so that's something that they're really looking forward to. And I know the parents are always interested if they know that their kids are involved. So another thing that we do, and I know you all do as well, is, well, I don't know for sure, but I would assume the summer feeding program. I don't know if every district's required.
It's an option for each district.
Okay.
Whether they participate or not.
Okay.
Do
But
most of you do summer meals? Yes, no?
So how do you get that information out? I mean, that's positive. I mean, we want our kids to be fed well in the summer. How do you get a message like that out across the district? I guess is it your PR people and your, okay. Is it publicized pretty well in Davis County? I mean, where the locations are now? So this stuff is very important to make sure that this is communicated throughout. Back to point 3, beyond just a press release, you can even build your own database and contacts. You can call people. You can send photos. People love visuals. You know, if I just stood up here and I was like this, you want to see the videos and what's really going on in our district. So people just love visuals. You can create a pitch letter, you know, write a letter to the editor, as I said, and then also send out a newsletter. Like get a group of men and women together in your department and say, I know this is extra, but even if it's just a simple newsletter we send out, you know, once a quarter, that's the way to go. You know, it's a start, you know. Another thing you can do is social media. Now, who's kind of afraid of social media? Okay, you don't have to admit it right now, but I know that there are people in our district that are like, I am not touching that, I'm not even going there because I'm afraid I'm going to say something wrong, it's going to have a reflection on everybody, you know, so, but that is why I'm the only one that in our district that has, we have a Twitter account and a YouTube account. We're not on Facebook yet, working there, but also we want to make sure that we're not overwhelming ourselves and doing too much. What we do, we want to do well. And it's good to keep up with your websites and things along those lines, because when those things aren't up to date, I think that's not good news. So, so social media is our friends. You know, like I said, with 14 News calling or texting me, they found out through social media. But we sent out a press release, or I got the news out that we were going to do something like this a little while back. I think I let them know that we were doing something like this. But they don't, they look at that day, and they like scroll through their iPhones and they'll see what interests them. So really social media is the way to go. And I know people in the media, some people love press releases, and there is value to that, but there's also value to 140 characters that you can do on Twitter. So here, if you're not, I'm going to be honest, if you're not willing to change, you know, you have to keep up with the times, but if you're not willing to change, I'm sorry, but you're going to the wayside. You know, I know people say, oh, well, that's for the younger generation, or that's, you know, my age, and I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, please, I don't have time for that, or I don't even want to. But at least know what's going on. You know, I'm not saying you have to hold an account, or that you have to necessarily daily tweet about something or put it on Facebook, but at least know the language with the kids. Kids are going to be able to relate with you, and also that way when you hear about, when I say Twitter, hey, did you hear about that article on Facebook? Did you check it out? You can kind of get the idea of what it's about. So this isn't a social media session here, but I'm just saying that I'm seeing more and more that's just the way it's going. And just because just because I'm younger, I'm not really, like I definitely am getting older. Like, it doesn't mean that I know everything about social media, but at the same time, it's just I have to change with the times, and I have to convince the board members to change with the times as well.
There is a Facebook page, School Lunch Superhero page, used primarily by, it's an open group, used primarily by Jefferson County. They've got pictures of their new bus, their summer feeding bus out. Because it's an open page, and you as an individual could post things, you know, you still want to fall within your district guidelines, and you don't want to be, but that's a way that you could post something personally, or that if you've got parents that are big advocates that would do something like that, that's just an option. It's School Lunch Superhero. You can find me on Facebook. I don't even know what I do it on my phone. I don't even know what my code is or my name is anymore, but look for Sabrina Jewell, and you can kind of link, or Dan Elnor from Jefferson County. He's the administrator of that one, so that's an option if you want to see what some people are doing, kind of.
It's a great way to communicate and find out through districts. Yeah. That's good. So this is some of our kiddos in the kitchen, and it's always great because we like to put this on our homepage. Like I would put this on our own website, you know, letting them know that, you know, the kitchen is a big deal. Like let's promote, let's tell what our kids are doing, let's tell what our staff members are doing. So it's great to get photos such as this and ask them, can you put this on our homepage? Like, can you put this on social media? Because a lot of times when they communicate with me, I don't know things until they tell me. So you have to be active with them and say, I would like to see this on here, please. You know, and so really build the relationships with people in your district. Also, yay. these are our staff members. Recently were certified. What was the reminder? Yeah, and we did a press release, and we did a photo, and we put this on our website, and I put it on social media, and so we're so proud of them. And so Sabrina started getting everyone together, and then she asked Cindy and I to come out, and we did a photo, and we edited it, and so it's just really neat to tell the whole story. It's not just a little piece of the school system, but about everything, transportation, everything. So the way I like to end this is there's a few points that I want you to remember too. I'm human. Can you believe it? Did I mess up at all today? It's good to correct your mistakes and admit when you're wrong. You know, I'm wrong a lot. My husband will tell you. But if I say something to the media, or say you send information to somebody and you realize, oops, I didn't need to say that, or, you know, I meant to say it this way. It's good to contact them and correct your mistakes. The worst is when you hide behind them and act like, you know, hopefully it'll just fly over or pass over and nobody will even see it. No, when you admit your mistakes, people all of a sudden want a relationship with you and they realize that, hey, you know, I can have a relationship with that person. And so I'm the first to admit my mistakes to the media and also to my coworkers and everybody I work with. I messed up, right, Cindy? Ask your PR people, ask the people at the central office to communicate with you of how you can help them and to get the communication plan across. It would be very bold, I understand, to come across and say, hey, you know, it may not be my job title, but it's still my job to make sure that I'm communicating the way I need to be. And I want to make sure that I'm on the same page with you. I know it sounds crazy, but they would really respect and appreciate it. And I would love it if you all did that with me and made sure that I'm communicating the way I should be. I would like for you all to just kind of at this point share stories or any questions that you have, or even if you want to throw out a scenario to me. I was telling my brother this morning about how I was going to come to this conference, and he was like, so you're going to open it up for any questions? I said, yeah. He said, what if somebody asks you, the media calls me and said, oh, they found in the turkey. What are you going to say? And I said, well, I'll wait till somebody asks that. So you're not allowed to ask that one. Okay? That can't be a scenario. But is there any questions, anything that you want to ask me, or something that's going on in your district that I can help with?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
The class that I was in just before this, they were doing pictures of the kids, I don't know, like they had like a Northwest section, they had a big poster of the kids. Well, how do you handle that as far as you're putting a kid's picture on like a poster? I mean, do you have to get permission from the parents or?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Usually they have a photo release form.
Yeah.
A photo release
We
form.
were one of the classes that done that, and there is a list at our school of the kids that you can't take their picture. So we checked with that, and the ones that we could, that's the ones we put on our poster, was the ones that said the parents gave us permission to be able to use their picture.
And to be on the safe side, when I'm taking photos of students, I always ask, is there anyone in this group that is not allowed to be photographed? I always ask that. And then usually the teacher will respond, no, we don't have anybody. Or sometimes the kids will raise their hands and say,
That's right.
my mom doesn't want me to have my picture made.
That's right. And like the video you saw the kids at the school talking about peanut butter, we made sure that we asked the principal or somebody, a staff member, to look into that before they interviewed, because we can get in big trouble if the parents watching their kid on the news, and they have reasons why they don't want the photo to be out there.
But most of the time, parents want to see
Most
their.
of the time.
Most of the time they do. It's very few.
But usually that's ended up being the kid that we accidentally.
Right.
So, good question. Yeah. Anybody else? Have you got any trouble with the changes in the food pricing or anything? Has that been a big story or no? Okay. Well, I hope that, Cindy, you have anything to add?
No.
Anything else? Okay. Well, I hope that you all learned something. If you did, if district, one of the most important things I can say is it's about the kids. You know, it's about getting their story out, and it's also about having a plan in place.